Okay, so a lot of people have asked me, how do you get that good of a quality microphone? And the answer is, it's a very bad quality microphone. It's a Blue Snowball, man. It's terrible. But you can actually do a lot with it if you have the right tools. And I am no expert, but I have found something that works well for me. And people with XLR mics have asked me, like, how do you do this? Like, that's too good for someone without an XLR mic. And the answer is pretty simple. I use FL Studio and Voicemeeter. So Voicemeeter is pretty much just for mixing. I'm pretty sure you can cut this out, kinda, but I will not show you how to do that because I'm not sure about that. So what I do is I take RTX voice because Blue Snowball is known to have a lot of background noise. It does not really do any noise cancellation, and it does not have software to it, as far as I know. I use RTX voice for that. It's simple to install and you don't need an NVIDIA RTX graphics card. You can easily use a GTX something. That's what I'm doing. So you can use that. If you don't need to, you shouldn't, because it does take a little bit on your GPU. To do this, you need to go into settings and you need to make sure the sample rate, which is 4800 for me, or 48,000, sorry. 48,000 hertz is my sample rate for my microphone, the NVIDIA RTX voice, and it all needs to match. Otherwise you'll get static and noise, which is annoying. So this needs to be this, and everything needs to match like that. This doesn't really matter, this doesn't really matter, this doesn't really matter. Nothing other than your microphone, this, and RTX voice if you use that, needs to match. Then we get to the important part. Well, more important. Patch insert. To make sure Voicemeeter can actually work with FL Studio, you need to enable the first input, left and right, and you do that by clicking these two. These two will look like these by default. So you need to make sure that it looks like this. And then it's on. And the reason you see 2 and 3 being on for me as well is because I will use this for soundboards and stuff like that as well. So people can hear my Spotify or YouTube. And the third one is for a turntable I had connected once, but I disabled that. Make sure this is on. You don't need this, but I do because I'm recording. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to hear myself. And you wouldn't be able to hear me because something's messed up. I don't know. I'll fix it eventually. Moving on to FL Studio. This is what mine looks like. You need the mixer, which you can find by pressing this button. And that will pop up. This is just my soundboard, so you don't need to worry about this. And I will not show you how to use this in this video. I might do it in another video, but I don't know. So this is the mixer. We will not use this just yet because we need to set some settings in FL Studio first. Now, this tab doesn't really matter unless you want to use Image Line Remote, which is a mobile app, so you can control FL Studio on your phone, which I do use occasionally, but I will not show you how to use that today. So now you need to go to the audio tab, and under input/output, you need to put this to the Voicemeeter insert virtual ASIO. And that's to make sure you can actually use this patch insert we saw here. In here, yeah. So the sample rate needs to be the same as on your Voicemeeter and your microphone and your RTX voice if you use that. Because otherwise you will get that scratching and noise and it's annoying. These settings down here, I don't know how important they are, but I would recommend just copying mine. I will say though, if you have a bad CPU, there will be some extra delay on your microphone from when you speak to its outputted. And there is on me right now, even though I have a pretty good CPU. And that's simply because it's doing so much. This doesn't really matter. This doesn't really matter. Nothing else matters on here, really. Now we can move on to the mixer. This is my microphone. M, with a little icon. You can see when I'm talking as well. You don't really need to worry about the volume. Of course, I have put mine a little down because I just do. Doesn't matter. And over to the right, you see all the effects. But right above that, you see this. And this is the input. Under stereo, you will want to press the first one because that's the first one for your microphone. If you use the second one or the third one for your microphone, you will have to use that. But most people use the first one, and I do. So mine is 1. If you want to use only the left or right side, which I don't know why you would want to do that, but you can, so you could press one of these. I have reverb. Basically, if you don't know what reverb does, here's a little test. This is what reverb does. Now, you saw me disable this thing, but this is just a noise gate that I have on. I don't know exactly how it works, so I won't show you how to use it. If I didn't disable it, the reverb would be cut off like way before, which is annoying. So that's disabled right now. Maximus, which is one of the most important components in what I'm doing. This is very advanced, but you don't actually need to worry about this. All you gotta do is press presets and go to A. Now, this is how much of that effect you want. Mine is fairly low because otherwise it would be very bassy and very obnoxious. So that's what my settings are. Now this entire application or plugin is very similar to one called Sound Goodizer. Sound Goodizer, I guess. Whatever. And you can see A, B, C, D. A, B, C, D. Okay, same shit. What is this then? This is just a very simple version where this knob is basically this knob. And it's how much of an effect there is. So A is A, which I'm using. You just can't see it. And this is how much of that you want. So this would be pretty much, so now this would pretty much give the same result for me. But I don't use that. You can use it if you want. I recommend you do it if you don't actually know anything about all these other settings and you don't actually want to learn about them. Your choice, either one works. All you need to worry about is really this knob. Then I use this built-in plugin. These two are actually built in, by the way. The Maximus and Sound Goodizer. Those are built into FL Studio. As well as Edison or whatever. This I just use to record my microphone and play it back. So I can record this. So I can record this. And I can play it back. So I use that occasionally. I won't show you how to use it, even though it's pretty simple. Just because it's not really relevant. And this is the second thing I use for my microphone. This is called Fresh Air, and it's not built into FL Studio, but it is free to install. Can be found in the description. It's by a company called Slate Digital, and it's pretty good. I like it very much. Show you what it sounds like with and without effects on my microphone. So this is what it sounds like on, and you've heard this a lot throughout the video. But this is actually what it sounds like without. And as you can hear, there's a pretty big difference. But this is obviously better. And now I'll show you what the individual plugins do of a difference. So without Maximus, this is actually what it sounds like. It's not that big of a difference, but you definitely notice it. This is back on, and this is without Fresh Air. This is a little bit more obvious because it makes it less clear. My microphone is much less clearer without this on. Now it's back on. This is a little bit harder to, well, not really, but it's definitely more complicated, I guess, to set up. Like you have this very simple menu, but these sliders do all sorts of this stuff. So it can be a little bit confusing. This is my settings. This is just to link the two values. So if you do this, and this one will move the exact same amount from its current position. Now mine is 3727, and that's what I like. But of course, you can set it to whatever works for you. And that's pretty much it. As long as the input is the one your microphone is using over here, and the output is the one your microphone is using over here, you're pretty much good. That's all you need to do. Of course, you can play around with all of these other things if you want. And I recommend you do that because you might find something amazing. Like there's the compressor. That's pretty good. And the EQ too. I don't know how these works, but I know they're good. And they can provide some amazing results. And it's all live. That's the best part. So I definitely recommend you use those things. Or at least try to figure them out. And there are a bunch of tutorials on YouTube with how these things work and how you can apply them to vocals and speaking. So that's pretty much it. It's very simple to use. Now you just need to set your main communications device to the Voicemeeter output. And you can use Voicemeeter or Voicemeeter Banana, it doesn't really matter. Or even the potato version, which is much bigger than Banana. If you want to see a tutorial on how to set up a soundboard like me, this is pretty bad, not gonna lie. I might switch to something else. You can definitely find a tutorial about that. That's probably better. But if you want to see a tutorial of how I do it, I'll definitely show it to you if you want to see that. So, no problem. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you learned something. And I hope you found out how this works. And if you're confused, please do leave a comment or contact me privately, because I will be more than happy to help you out.